Good afternoon and thanks for joining us on today's edition of House of Commons on My Media Prime Television. On today's edition, we shall focus on two very important topics that have been affecting Cameroonians in all 10 regions of the country. And the first topic, we shall focus on the silence of political parties as more killings continue in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. And we shall also dwell on elected officials adding their voices to the procurement and ID cards in Cameroon. But before we get started with the program, I'll introduce the crack team we have on set. Let me begin with you, Fabrice Leon. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Quinta, and I want to wish a happy Sunday to viewers of My Media Prime TV and to all brothers and sisters in the Northwest and Southwest, and to my good friend watching from Yaoundé, Cortes and Prince Will, and all members of the Popular Action Party, Denis Tabe, our national president. And to you, my co-panelists, it is a great pleasure for me to share the panel with you. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome, Fabrice Leon. We also have Song Derek. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of House of Commons.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure being here. It's always a pleasure talking to the millions of Cameroonians who are clamoring for change and also trying to contribute in our little positive way to see how we can transform this stagnant country of ours. Well, we pray that our deliberation should be positive and our contribution should be taken down by the government, the civil society activists and political parties in order to help us build this country to become the desired country we all pray for.
Now, Brice Jokolo, member of CRM Political Party, you're welcome.
Merci, bonjour ma soeur, bonjour à tous mes panélistes. Je voudrais profiter comme ça pour dire bonjour à tous les militants du MRC à travers toute la capitale économique, Douala, à travers la capitale politique Yaoundé. Je voudrais comme ça saluer chaleureusement les populations qui vivent du côté de l'Est de Cameroun, particulièrement à Yokadouma, à Nguel-Mendouka. Ces gens-là sont là, ils m'écoutent. Et ils savent bien que je connais leurs souffrances, que le MRC connaît parfaitement leurs souffrances. Je voudrais également dire bonjour à tous mes anciens camarades du National Polytechnique de Bamenda, où nous avions connu cette crise aussi néfaste que nous vivons aujourd'hui, et qu'aujourd'hui les uns et les autres se retrouvent un peu éparpillés partout dans le monde, en Afrique du Sud, au Canada, partout ici, et c'est très difficile de vivre, c'est très difficile. Donc je voudrais une fois de plus vous remercier d'avoir invité le MRC sur ce plateau. Merci bien.
Well, thank you for accepting our invitation. Now, gentlemen, let's begin our program, and we'll start with the very first topic, that is political parties silent as more killings continue in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And I'll begin with you, Fabrice Lena. It is 1 week after the U.S. Senate called for a ceasefire in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, and despite their call, killings have continued in those regions of the country now. What could be the reason for the silence?
You said political parties are silent in the killings of the Northwest and Southwest. I don't think that is a right statement to put forth, because when you say political parties are silent, you want to include the Popular Action Party or the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, or you want to include the Cameroon People's Party or movements like Stand Up for Cameroon, which we have been doing our best all within our capacity with the limited means and the stringent condition that we find ourselves in Cameroon to contribute to see that we have peace in this country. I've been working tirelessly as a young political actor within my capacity as a Secretary General of the Popular Action Party to contribute to the authorities in Yaoundé and to the separatist leaders abroad in order that we see that a true discussion can take place. But what can one do when we have obstacles left and right and people are eating and benefiting, making themselves from the crisis and will not want it to end? So for me, I will first of all say that political parties are silent is wrong.
I'm talking about the recent killings at Matazum and even the one in Jikwa.
Yeah. I want to come to that, because when you say political parties are silent, on the one hand it's correct to some political parties.
Yeah, that's true.
And on the other hand it's wrong for some political parties. You know, I made a post, if you're keen to my publications on the social media, you will recognize that at the beginning of this year, I said something about political parties in Cameroon. You know, the multiplicity of political parties have made it so divisive that even the media is confused in analyzing actions of political parties. And that is not good enough for you guys, because you're supposed to know exactly which political party is doing. When you look at the different political parties in Cameroon, they are classified into categories. When you look at the leaning on the party in power, the CBDF, and the G20, they are those type of parties you should say they are silent on the killings. Because I remember very well the party who called themselves the G20 only came to make a communique when the CRM and the Popular Action Party asked for a manifestation on the 22nd of September 2020, and since then they have never made any other declarations or any press conference or any preoccupied issues and the security challenges that the country is facing henceforth. And so you're right to say that political parties are silent, and you begin to ask our questions. Why are they political parties? Who are they representing, and why should they be existing? If they cannot speak in the light and the face of atrocities like those committed in the Northwest and Southwest, and we begin to say that it is not proper for them to exist if they cannot talk. And when you look at political parties like the pro-electionists, those PCR and XDF, in the parliament, you are right to assert that the political parties are silent in the front of killings because they are representing some people who they claim they are representing in the parliament, but we have never seen them coming up in the parliament to deliberate, discuss, and even come out with declarations at the level of their party to say, well, it is time for us as Cameroonians to talk in the House of the People, in the Assembly, about the atrocities in the Northwest and Southwest. So you're right at that level to say so. But when it comes to parties that I represent, Popular Action Party, the CRM, the CPP, that I know I've worked with, I would say that's wrong, because one of the reasons for the 22nd manifestation, that was a collaboration of PAP and CRM, was that we want the killings in the Northwest and the Southwest to stop. We want the revision of the electoral code so that Cameroonians could have the possibility of partaking in the political process of the country. Our voices were not heard until date. All attempts for peaceful protests have been prohibited and banned by the government, making us to
thank you
be
very
in a
much
situation of
for your intervention.
making us to be in the situation of not having any proposals to make as far as political action is concerned. I just want to conclude so that another person can take the floor.
All right, you have 30 seconds.
Yes, thank you very much. So, in a situation like Cameroon, the best thing for us to do now is not to work like individual political parties, but to work like a group of people concerned about the killings, which is a human problem affecting our country. And I want us to look at this issue beyond political parties, and that is what our party is doing now. We don't want to put the partisan politics in front, it's so divisive, but we want to put Cameroonian first, and as I always say, the people first. And if we put the people first, we are going to be on the right track of justice, and we always do the right action.
Well, thank you very much, Fabrice Lena. While he spoke, I saw you nodding. That's why the sudden silence of political parties.
Bon, il a dit des choses très très importantes, mon copanéliste. Tantôt, il a dit que les partis politiques ne sont pas restés silencieux face à cette situation. Le dire aujourd'hui, c'est un peu difficile de comprendre les partis politiques parce que néanmoins, il y en a, le CPP, il a cité, il y a le MRC également, il a cité. Ces partis politiques-là se sont levés et ont dit que ce n'était pas possible de continuer encore dans ce Cameroun avec des personnes qui meurent. Rappelez-vous encore à l'Assemblée nationale du Cameroun, au Parlement, l'honorable Weba, que j'aime beaucoup citer dans ce genre d'analyse, avait décidé même de bloquer l'Assemblée nationale pour exprimer exactement la position que les populations de cette zone-là vivent. Mais malheureusement, personne ne l'a écouté. Plus pire encore, quelques temps après, on a lancé un mandat d'arrêt. La justice a lancé un mandat d'arrêt contre un député, un parlementaire qui a osé exprimer les besoins, qui a osé exprimer les difficultés de la population au niveau du Parlement, là où normalement ça doit être exprimé. Posez-vous donc la question, comment est-ce que les gens ne coupent pas jusqu'au moment où certains décident même de vouloir bloquer le Parlement. Vous avez vu également le SDF. Et plus que hier encore, je dirais quelques jours encore, le MRC a décidé de ne pas aller aux élections. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on ne peut pas prétendre organiser une élection, de surcroît encore une élection locale, dans la mesure où les populations sont incapables d'aller voter. On se pose donc la question, qu'est-ce que ces personnes-là, ces gouvernants-là veulent faire de la zone anglophone? C'est compliqué, c'est difficile, c'est très difficile. Parce que regardez un instant, lorsqu'on décide d'organiser une frasque élection dans une zone où il faut voter, qui va voter? Posez-vous la question, quel est le Camerounais qui va voter à ce niveau-là? D'autant plus que même celui-même, qu'on peut même voter, qu'on doit même voter entre guillemets, ne parvient même pas à résider là-bas. Dans cette zone-là, il y a les maires. Je dis les maires qui ne sont pas là-bas. Ces maires-là vivent soit à Bamenda, soit à Bafoussam, soit à Bouddha. Posez-vous la question, comment est-ce que les gens s'attardent toujours à vouloir dire qu'il n'y a pas un problème anglophone? D'autant plus que certains partis comme le MRC ont décidé que ici, même s'il faut sacrifier l'avenir politique, même s'il faut que nous-mêmes nous sacrifions notre avenir politique pour que cette crise-là soit résolue, nous allons le faire. Donc, ce n'est qu'un début et le MRC est dans cette lancée. Tant qu'il n'y aura pas résolution du problème dans le nord-ouest, dans le sud-ouest, tant que les gens condamnés dans ce cadre-là ne seront pas sortis des prisons, le MRC ne participera plus à aucun jeu politique au Cameroun. Parce que participer à un jeu politique où il faut condamner à tout prix des gens qui sont là-bas, des gens qui luttent pour le bon combat, pour le survie, des gens qui luttent pour la bonne manière de vivre, les gens qui luttent pour la bonne gouvernance, le MRC ne pourra jamais participer à ces massacres-là. Donc comprenez à partir de ce jour que le MRC est décidé, quelle que soit la méthode que nous allons utiliser, la méthode pacifique, bien sûr, cette guerre-là doit s'arrêter. Et tous les jours, nous allons organiser les marches à ce que ça s'arrête, dont les partis politiques ne sont pas silencieuses. C'est ce que j'avais à dire en début de ça. Donc dire aujourd'hui que les partis politiques sont silencieux, ce n'est vraiment pas juste. Si on voudrait prendre le cas du MRC, des CPP, du mouvement Stand Up Cameroun, c'est compliqué. Vous voyez donc que les partis politiques s'expriment. Mais malheureusement, nous avons affaire à un régime qui n'écoute pas. Vous allez parler 1000 fois, ils ne vont pas écouter. Ils sont dans la logique de guerre. Parce que cette guerre-là leur profite. Il y a des primes d'émission colossales. Des hauts gradés sont là, ils mangent les primes d'émission. Pourquoi ils veulent que cette guerre, ils ne peuvent pas vouloir que cette guerre finisse? Parce que des gens vont quitter de là avec du gros ventre comme ça parce qu'ils ont tellement mangé l'argent des primes d'émission. Construire les châteaux au niveau de Yaoundé, construire les châteaux à Douala, construire les châteaux partout à cause de cette guerre. Donc vous vous rendez en évidence qu'on tue les gens là-bas pour avoir de l'argent. Le régime tue les gens là-bas pour avoir de l'argent. Sinon, ils auraient demandé que cette affaire finisse. C'est pour ce qu'on peut, du point de vue technique, analyser et vous dire, dans le cas concret, pourquoi ne pas arrêter? Moi, je me pose la question. Parce que lorsque vous évaluez seulement le bilan militaire, même pas le bilan civil, le bilan militaire de cette crise-là, c'est lourd. Ce sont nos gens. Il y a de cela quelques temps où j'ai perdu mon propre ami. Moi, je vous le dis. Quand je vendais encore à la sauvette, j'avais donné 30 000 francs à ce camarade-là que nous étions au lycée Le Plein ensemble, d'aller faire le recrutement. D'aller faire le recrutement du BIS. C'est moi qui ai payé ses frais de dossier. J'ai payé. Il est allé. Mais directement, on l'a envoyé dans une salle à faire comme s'il est allé perdre sa vie. Aujourd'hui, je le porte dans ma conscience. Je regrette. Parce que ce n'est pas normal qu'un Camerounais tue un autre Camerounais.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's get over to Son Derrick. As a political analyst and equally an activist, do you think that opposition political parties are helping government to end the Anglophone crisis?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would like to say I like staying very neutral on being a civil society activist. I will say it very clear that sometimes the reason why these people are silent is because killing has become a day-to-day normal. You know, at first, when one person dies, we cry. But now in Cameroon, it has become a routine that every day you receive a phone call, this person has been shot, 2 military men have been killed, 5 civilians have been killed. It has become a day-to-day normal. So the news doesn't happen to anybody because it seems everybody is used to that death is normal. But the way we die is the question. And the reason why the political parties, because not all, like seriously, I must comment that if you check the activities of PAP, which the Secretary General is here represented, is an outspoken person. He speaks. The MRC, they are trying their best, but the politicians, those people who are baptized politicians, who are politicians, who fight for their stomach, there is no argument that some people's death in the northwest and southwest, which I like calling southern Cameroon, benefits others. Some people are enjoying from the suffering. Because we will not sit here and deny the fact that same people who went in for election claiming everything is under normal, how will they go back to tell the international organization that killings are happening? They want to hide just everything. So, Fran, I will put it very clear that those people who don't talk, they are under the system. Remember, Cameroon has a systematic cankerworm that has eaten right deep into the fabrics of the country, that very few persons are outstanding. Very few persons. And all those mushroom political parties that are created by the big worm of the Cameroon People Democratic Movement are just there pretending, just eating up the crumbs that falls from the master's table. You talked about the U.S. or the U.S. Senate recently called for a ceasefire. What's the definition of a ceasefire? Because when we talk of ceasefire, after calling for the ceasefire, the president came in his magnanimity, as people will always say, and called for the remaining boys to drop their arms and join the DDR. Is that the definition of ceasefire? Because if a lot of things are not handled, you know, sometimes, Queen, I don't see the importance of the speeches, because there is no new speech that somebody will make in Cameroon now that has not been said. There is no new thing that we are going to say here that has not been said. All the intellectuals, the international organizations, the human rights organizations, they have spoken time without number. But the system we have in place is stagnant. When you are moved by people who cannot move, you don't expect any movement. That is why the stagnancy is there. When people reach menopause and can no longer think, it becomes an unmovable system. And that is why we are going around the same place where we are. Recently, there is a call for a genuine dialogue.
Yeah.
Recently, there's an increase in the call for a genuine dialogue. If the word genuine is added there, it means the other dialogue wasn't genuine, which to me I've never qualified as a dialogue. I've always said it was a monologue of a grand conference for a certain political parties who paid in those who believe in them, isolating just a few to come and sing the song and later on tell us about the magnanimity of the number one statesman.
Okay, now, Song, do you think that opposition political parties are actually helping government put an end to the crisis?
You know, opposition political party, if you want to talk about opposition political parties in Cameroon, you count very few. You count very few. For instance, if I want to talk about opposition political party, those who are very much outspoken, I'll talk about the CPP of Kaban Edith Kawala. I'll talk about the PAP of Ayapol Abine and MRC. The rest are political scrum eaters. They are sardine eaters. People who believe that as long as you clap for the system, you get the crumbs that falls from the master's table. Because, you know, if we are reducing this problem in Cameroon to political parties, the truth in this Cameroon is that the problem in this Cameroon is bigger than political parties at this time. It is a systemic problem that if we do not analyze it, it does not only involve the ousting of Mr. Bia. It involves the ousting of the outdated, dilapidated, and emancipated system that has deteriorated to look at human beings to be guinea pigs that are using as experiment to prove their points.
All right, thank you very much, Songday. Let me get back to you, Fabrice Lena. Now, many are expecting political parties, opposition political parties, of course, to unite as one man and put an end to this crisis. Why do you think there is still that division?
Well, that's why most of the time I always tell Cameroonians that the regime in place and the number one citizen of the country had succeeded to put Cameroonians in that divide and rule system and that divisive method of leadership that has really made Cameroonians to be so tribalistic at the level of political parties, to be individualistic. And at one point in time, I also say there is need for auto-examination at the level of the opposition political parties. And this auto-examination comes from the fact that you would discover it is very difficult in Cameroon for political parties to work as a bloc. There was a time that I put 3 blocks of political parties. There is pro-government political parties, that's the G20 and the CPDM. There is pro-electionist political party, those who go to the parliament because they want to make political show or become politicians without credibility or representing themselves. And then there is non-electionists who are a group of political parties that think that going for elections at a time when the government is illegitimate and the spheres of competition for political parties is not normal will not make them credible enough for them to represent the people adequately. Now, when you look at the 3 different categories, you discover that Cameroon is having more than 300 political parties. Yeah. Cameroon is having more than 300 political parties. And why the multiplicity of political parties? Because the more the political parties, the ability of the system in place to buy more people over and corrupt people over. And this tendency is also coming because the guy and his system have impoverished Cameroonians and subject them to a level of poverty where people are doing politics for survival. And then the survival politics system is a kind of one where resistance is difficult, you see, and then being credible is not easy. And then standing the test of time too is not easy, you see. So in that light, people are easily bought over. Whenever they find difficulties, they are easily bought over and so on and so forth. But there is still possibility for me, and as I always think, for people to come together. It is a matter of putting 3 things in front. Because to build a political career, you must be very courageous, you must be credible, and you must be consistent. And when you discover that people's consistency in Cameroon is limited to 2, 3, 4 years, you see, and for the past 30 years, opposition political parties have not taken a stand and stood on that stand for a given period of 7 years that they have clandestinely modified the constitution to put presidential election mandate. Like saying that from 2018 to 2025 we'll be doing this and we'll maintain on it until the next train of change comes. So those are the things. And now Cameroon is a country where everyone claims to be intellectual and no one will want to submit his own institution, organization, political party under another person. That is a serious problem. And at this level, it becomes difficult for people to work together when one thinks that the ideas in my manifesto is the best. The ideology of my party is the best. The people with whom I'm working with are the most credible. And I cannot go to work under somebody as some other person reduced not to be at the level of the national president of my party. You get it? Yeah. These are things that we need to put apart if we want to change this country. These are things that we need to put apart if we want to fight the system in place, because the Mbia system is one that its mechanism of corruption is hyper corruption, and its system of bribing people is hyper bribing, and they have the database of everyone in such a way that when they want to come to you, they have every means of coming to you to do that. My call always to opposition political parties is to look beyond personal interests. Like most people always say, personal interest. I always salute the efforts of these opposition parties who refuse not to go to election at this time. When you look at Northwest and Southwest now, the Southern Cameroon in quotes, nowadays, you discover that any politician from that area that is in Yaoundé or Douala are not partaking into elections or decided not to go to the elections that passed in 2018, 2020 respectively, should be saluted. These are people that had the ability to go to the parliament or to go and get recognition and some sort of income for themselves, but have decided that no, we need to fight a fight, and the fight is a system that is in place. You get it? Yeah. So there is possibility for us to come together, but I think that we need to do a lot of lobbying. We need to keep the ego aside. We need to think of the people first and fight for that agenda, and we'll come at a point where we will colossally work together. We will be above our political parties in order that we can move the country forward. If we keep looking only at the ideas of our party, I bet you we'll be marking time in the same cycle, and it's not going to yield any fruit.
All right, thank you very much, Fabrice. Let me get over to you, Brice Jokolo of CRM Political Party. Do you think there is a possibility for opposition political parties to come together as one man in order to put an end to the Anglophone crisis?
Oui, c'est possible, c'est possible. Les partis politiques de l'opposition peuvent se battre à ce que cette affaire s'arrête. C'est une possibilité. Mais sauf qu'il faut savoir que lorsqu'on a affaire à des personnes qui n'écoutent pas, à des personnes qui gouvernent, mais qui n'écoutent absolument pas les autres, ça devient très très compliqué. Par exemple, dans un système démocratique comme ça, regardez un peu dans le cas des États-Unis, où le président américain décide de ne pas aller. Mais qui est intervenu? Ce sont les institutions. Parce qu'en réalité, dans ce cas-là, c'est l'institution qui est au-dessus des hommes. Donc, regardez le parti politique comme étant une institution politique. Vous comprenez un peu? Dans cette mesure-là, si le parti politique ne parvient même pas d'abord à s'exprimer au niveau du Parlement, là où ils doivent s'exprimer, parce que la majorité obèse du régime a fait de telle manière que personne ne peut s'exprimer. Vous allez comprendre que dans cette mesure, ça devient très compliqué. Et ceux qui tentent même de vouloir faire arrêter cette guerre, on les considère effectivement comme des personnes qui veulent la guerre. Je parle par exemple du MRC. Le MRC a dit que non, ça ne doit pas se passer. Dans le cas contraire, nous allons nous mobiliser même dans la rue pour que ça s'arrête. Vous avez vu comment on les a traités, comment on nous a traités. On a arrêté les militants du MRC, jetés dans les prisons à Douala, à Yaoundé, partout dans le Cameroun. On les a torturés, juste parce qu'ils veulent faire arrêter cette guerre. Donc, les partis politiques de l'opposition pouvaient faire arrêter cette guerre dans la mesure où le régime qui est en face nous écoute. Mais du moment où ils ne nous écoutent pas, ça devient un peu compliqué. Donc, comprenez donc que le problème ici n'est pas seulement le parti politique. Le problème ici également, c'est l'institution. Parce qu'on ne comprend pas comment se fait-il qu'un parti politique, un regroupement de partis politiques, une coalition de partis politiques décide de marcher pour qu'il y ait fin à la guerre dans le nord-ouest et dans le sud-ouest. Et subitement, l'institution policière les arrête, les brutalise, utilise les gaz lacrymogènes, utilise même les balles réelles, tire sur les manifestants. Et pourtant, c'est cette institution-là qui devrait protéger les partis qui sont en train de marcher. Donc le problème n'est pas seulement au niveau du parti politique, mais des institutions. Regardez par exemple l'institution judiciaire. Aujourd'hui, à peine vous prononcez le mot crise anglophone. Si c'est dans un milieu où vous n'êtes pas en sécurité, un policier peut facilement vous prendre et aller garder à la brigade. Juste parce que vous avez dit la crise anglophone, on ne doit plus tuer les anglophones. J'ai dit juste ça. Et pourtant, c'est ce policier-là qui était censé te protéger. C'est lui qui est censé garantir tes libertés. Mais malheureusement, lorsque vous parlez d'une telle affaire, vous êtes mal placé dans votre propre pays. Ce qui est tout à fait contraire à ce qui devrait se passer. Parce que, je veux dire de manière claire, dans les États qui sont démocratiques, les partis politiques tels qu'on enseigne en sciences politiques, il y a les décideurs qui décident. Quand ils décident, ils envoient. Le rôle des partis politiques, c'est quoi? C'est de faire une analyse, renvoyer maintenant aux décideurs. Les décideurs, à leur tour, à partir des analyses des partis politiques et d'autres organisations de la société civile, même non partisanes, prennent donc les décisions qui vont pour le bien de la société. Ce qui n'est pas le cas au Cameroun. Du coup, lorsque vous voulez à tout prix faire une analyse qui met le régime un peu en porte-à-faux, on vous dit carrément que vous êtes des insurrectionnels, que vous voulez à tout prix déstabiliser l'institution. Quelle institution on veut déstabiliser? L'institution que eux-mêmes, ceux qui gouvernent, ont déjà déstabilisé en avance. Parce qu'en réalité, c'est quoi? On vous prend. Si on vous prend que vous êtes en train de marcher pour une cause, comme par exemple dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest, la peine maximale, c'est 6 mois. Mais regardez, lorsqu'on a pris le professeur Maurice Kamto, avec tous les militants du MSC, y compris ceux de la coalition, ils ont fait 9 mois de prison. Je dis bien 9 mois de prison. Mais posez-vous donc la question, est-ce que c'est l'institution-là qui est chargée donc de garantir les libertés? Non. C'est la raison pour laquelle je pourrais encore emprunter à l'analyse mon copain. Il a dit tout à l'heure que c'est un système corrompu. C'est un système où la corruption est à outrance. Donc si vous osez même marcher pour cette affaire, on vous prend. La peine même que vous méritez, on va même doubler, on va même tripler. Regardez dans le cas des Manchot BBC et autres. Regardez dans le cas de Félix Galim et autres. Ils sont depuis combien d'années en prison? Pour quelle affaire? Est-ce qu'ils ont utilisé les armes? Non. Est-ce qu'ils ont brutalisé quelqu'un? Non. Mais sauf que les policiers, même qui nous brutalisent, nous au MRC, lorsque nous sommes en train de marcher pour l'affaire, on ne les arrête pas. On ne les inclut pas. Les qui sont donc ceux-mêmes qui veulent à ce que cette guerre continue. Ce sont ceux-là qui arrêtent ceux qui marchent pour qu'il y ait faim.
Thank you very much,
nous avons dit tantôt, je vais un peu
No, I'm coming back to you.
Okay.
Let me quickly ask this question to Song Derek. Song Derek, now how can opposition political parties help push for ceasefire in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon?
Well, in my opinion, what I think the political parties can do in Cameroon to help push for a ceasefire is first to understand that the agenda of human existentialism is above private objective. To understand that all lives matter, and to understand that George Floyd's life in America does not matter more than the life of the neighbor of southern Cameroons. They should come under one canopy to gather as one man and fight the system. Because what I know is the problem of Cameroon is not a person's problem, it is a systemic problem. And if all the political parties can come together as one person under one voice and then call for the shots and then have a plan of action detailed to the government on what the plan in order to stop this, it will be better. But if it is one man, for instance, if MRC comes out 100 times, it's not going to work, because MRC is a segment. If PAP comes out 1 million times, it's not going to work. But if the main political parties, the MRC, the PAP, the SDF, the CPC, they can come, have a given agenda, denying to subdue to the fact that I am the president of my political party, I am this, to understand they are fighting for the common cause of the people, putting the people at the top of the priority. Because one thing our politicians don't understand in Africa, and in Cameroon in particular, is that the people are the bosses. And the people simply give you part of their power to use. But unfortunately, in the context of Cameroon, the bosses are the authority, they are the beginning and they are the end. So when the people give them an opportunity to use the part of the power they have been given, they trample upon them like a personal non gratas. That is the problem. If our political parties, like Fabrice Lena said, will understand that it is not your manifesto that carries the solution of this country. It is the manifesto of a united brain that we can sit together to fine-tune the system. Knowing that if the president of the republic has to go today and he steps down and hand power to any other person, it's going to be the same or worse off. Because that person must have been trained to hookworm the system in the similar way that this person has done. That is why we have the increased appointment every day. Every day we create offices. When we see a disgruntled human being who is against the system, we create an irrelevant office and put him there to be chopping his own share and then forget about the noise. Because we believe everybody is making noise. If the political parties have to change to call for a ceasefire, they have to understand we are dealing with human, and human lives matter. And they have to talk as one person. And if anything has to happen, we will not capitalize it on one person. If everybody is to die, let us all die.
So your opinion is political parties should come together as one man to...
Come together as one man, have a plan of action, sit together to understand that every other day that we lost one Cameroonian, we lost human resource, and then we lost the growth of the country.
Thank you very much, Songday, for that intervention. Now, Fabrice Len, as Secretary General of the Popular Action Party, what role is your party playing to bring peace back to Cameroon?
All right, thank you for that wonderful question. I would say that at the beginning of this crisis in 2016, the Popular Action Party, because its bastion of support is in the Northwest and Southwest, you know, we had always been a party that would love to participate in the political process. I want to just remind Cameroonians that we participated in 2011 presidential elections, in 2013 municipal and legislative elections. Justice Aya was presidential candidate, and subsequently we had councillors and some parliamentarians in 2013. Up to 2017, when the crisis propelled to the level of violence, we decided to come at the level of our party and have a discussion where we thought that political activities in an area of armed conflict is not going to give us the credibility of representation of our people. So we decided to first of all see how we could carry humanitarian initiatives to help the people that were already at the state of needing humanitarian assistance. So the Popular Action Party started carrying out some humanitarian assistance to the first group of Anglophone detainees that were transferred to Konenge prison from the Calais rampage that took place in some towns of Northwest and Southwest. And subsequently, we discovered that it's not the role of the political party to become an NGO in time of crisis. So we ceded the actions to an official humanitarian NGO, the Aya Foundation, that I worked for some time, up to 2018, when I decided to move back to the party when the former national president, Justice Aya, resigned, and the elections were conducted for the new national president, Jean Denis Tabet, to come in. So since then, we've come out with a complete document which clearly showed how the Anglophone crisis could be solved within a period of maximum 100 days. And we submitted this document to different ministries in Yaoundé, and we also seek for audience with some diplomatic corps. But unfortunately, I will tell you that I have all the discharge of some of those submissions that are made in Yaoundé. Very few of these people gave us listening ear, and some who even gave listening ear did not carry out any action. Meanwhile, the embassies and diplomatic corps gave us hope of intervention that never took place till today, and we are still in the process. And I will also tell you that as a political party which is not having any representatives in the parliament, and is not also having the wide coverage of resources that is required for some kind of actions, we are constantly in the field to do using what we call peaceful methods of non-violent actions to call the government to order, putting pressure, because that's the only language that the government in place understands, pressure. They only react by pressure. If we sit back and don't talk, as we are using the media that you people are giving us the opportunity to talk, they will not be adjusting to most things. I think that if the dialogue of 2019 was called, is because some of the parties like the PAP and other partner parties put the pressure on the government to call, even though it did not yield any fruit. If the government came to come and do their cosmetic solutions and so on and so forth, it's because we put pressure. If after 2 years of the crisis, 2016 to 18, they acknowledge the existence, it's because some of us made them to acknowledge it. And we have come out with a lot of points. You know, we told the government that it's very clear and simple. For you to solve the Anglophone crisis, you need to first of all acknowledge that the people in the Northwest and South who are fighting for separation are not terrorists. They are separatists. And this separatist is embedded in history. Embedded in history because these were people that had some kind of colonial identity, and they felt that this had been trampled upon. This had been impeded because of the union that was unjustly put together by some kind of diplomatic anarchy. So you should first of all acknowledge that these people are not terrorists. And then the second thing is that you should acknowledge that we cannot have genuine discussion in Cameroon because it gives the government in power and the authorities in power the upper hand in the process of any discussion. It must be out of the country. We also told them that the action of taking the separatist leaders from Nigeria directly to prison had radicalized more people and sent some of the boys in the bush. And the best thing,
thank you very much.
Now let me just wrap up. It's just 2 seconds. The best thing for them to do is to first of all grant clemency to those people in prison. You cannot solve a problem when you know very well that those people in prison had supporters, and the supporters are part of the people fighting. You must first of all see how to grant them clemency. And above all, we need to revisit the 1961 constitution that put us together and look at the basis for which we are going to continue living together. If we agree on the terms of living together, we continue living together. If we don't agree, we go our separate ways.
All right, thank you for this,
for people to live under the same government if they are not treated fairly. Because the highest thing in every system, country, is standard of living, and it's the welfare of the people. If the people are not satisfied, everything has to be reviewed.
All right, now let me get to you, Brice Jokolo. What role has CRM political party played to ensure that peace returns to the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon and the entire country in general?
Bon, en réalité, ce n'est pas la première fois lorsque le MRC décide de parler de cette affaire. Vous avez vu, même le secrétaire général, Maître Christophe Ndong, il a été clair dessus. Que le MRC, lorsque le MRC décide de manifester, lorsque le MRC décide de parler de cette crise anglophone, c'est une crise qui concerne tout le Cameroun. Parce que ça peut arriver d'un moment à l'autre que les mêmes problèmes s'éclatent ici à Douala. Ça peut arriver que d'un moment à l'autre les mêmes problèmes s'éclatent à Bafoussam, à Nguelmundouka, là-bas dans la Léquier et bien d'autres. Les gens se sont levés tout simplement pour demander les meilleures conditions de vie. Aujourd'hui, ça devient autre. Les policiers ont utilisé de la matraque pour enfoncer dans les affaires des femmes. Aujourd'hui, ça devient autre chose. Donc, comprenez qu'aujourd'hui, que le MRC est dans une logique claire. Et le gouvernement a pensé à un moment, au moment où ils organisaient leur affaire de dialogue, le monologue, parce que c'était un monologue, inviter des personnes qui partagent la même opinion que toi pour dialoguer, ce n'est pas le dialogue, c'est un monologue. Parce qu'en fait, tu ne parles qu'à toi-même. Le MRC, dans son programme, a été toujours clair dans cette affaire.
Okay, can you use 30 seconds just to list the points because we have to get into the second topic of our program?
D'accord, il n'y a pas, mais sauf que je voudrais un peu finir avant que nous n'allions parce que c'est bientôt, il est bien vrai que le temps nous prend court. Parce que le MRC a dit quoi? Qu'au cas où nous arrivons au pouvoir, nous allons organiser le référendum. Et si dans le référendum, la partie dite francophone l'emporte, on accorde un statut spécial à la zone dite anglophone. Et ce statut spécial que le MRC a longtemps préparé n'est pas ce que le régime a donné. Parce que ce que le régime a donné dans ces zones, c'est une coquille vide. Parce qu'en réalité, c'est un bouc où à l'intérieur, il n'y a absolument rien. Et rien n'est écrit de bon dedans. C'est pourquoi ce statut spécial que le MRC a décidé là, c'est dans les normes ce qu'il faut appliquer. C'est ce qu'il faut appliquer. Donc vous comprenez que le parti politique aujourd'hui, les partis politiques dits de l'opposition, comme mon copanis a longtemps classé, il y a les partis proches au pouvoir qui ne veulent pas que cette affaire finisse. Et il y en a qui sont de la vraie opposition, l'opposition radicale, qui veulent que cette affaire finisse. Parce qu'en réalité, cette guerre-là, nous la payons. Hein. Nous la payons parce que certaines personnes ne savent pas. Moi, je suis juriste à la base. J'ai appris la fiscalité aussi. Nous la payons. Quand vous achetez un morceau de pain en route, là, vous payez pour cette guerre. Il faut que vous le sachiez. Quand vous partez à la boutique, vous achetez un biscuit, vous payez pour que cette guerre-là continue. Parce qu'en réalité, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Lorsque vous payez là, le prix qu'on vous vend à la boutique, ça avec les impôts y compris. Et c'est cet impôt-là qui contribue à ce qu'on mène la guerre là-bas dans le nord-ouest et le sud-ouest. Donc lorsqu'on parle de ghost town là, ces gens-là, par moment, ils ont raison. Il faut l'avouer. Quand vous payez le taxi en route là, quand vous payez le carburant à la pompe, vous contribuez à ce que cette guerre-là continue. Parce qu'on va récolter la fiscalité à base de ce que vous avez payé pour aller payer ceux qui tuent les autres là-bas. Donc, le MRC est dans une logique claire. Il faut arrêter cette affaire. Parce que ça fait mal à tout le Cameroun. Ceux, par exemple, qui sont des commerçants, ils savent réellement de quoi ils parlent. Peut-être nous autres, nous ne sommes pas directement affectés. Mais aller, par exemple, au marché Congo, allez au marché central. Ceux qui ont acheté la tenue, il y a une couleur tenue qu'on appelle le bleu anglophone. Vous connaissez bien la couleur de cette tenue. On vous dit que cette tenue-là est bloquée depuis 2016, personne n'achète. Certains vous disent que la couleur dont on utilise régulièrement pour les établissements anglophones sont bloqués. Cette couleur-là est bloquée dans les magasins. Il y a des tonnes de marchandises bloquées dans les magasins, qu'on peine à écouler. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y a le trou, parce qu'il y a la guerre là-bas. Donc ceux-là sont victimes, il pleut chaque jour. Quand nous partons sur le terrain pour mener les enquêtes politiques afin de bien faire les analyses, ils nous disent, ils nous amènent dans leur magasin, que voilà ce que nous vivons. Si déjà au niveau de loi là, les gens vivent de telles choses, combien de fois ceux qui sont là-bas, ceux qui sont à Kumba, ceux qui sont à Kumbo, ceux qui sont dans le BRM, combien de fois ceux-là vivent? Donc vous comprenez qu'ici à Douala, chacun va se lever et s'asseoir dans son fauteuil et dire qu'il n'y a pas de problème.
Thank you very much, Bruce Chokolo.
Nous sommes clairs là-dessus.
Well, that's it for the first part of the program. Let's take a break and we'll be back for the second part of the program. Stay with us. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for the second part of the program. And we'll be asking ourselves this question. Is it not time for elected officials to add their voices on the issue of identification cards in Cameroon? And I'll begin with you, Song Derrick. Cameroonians are having difficulties getting their ID cards, but elected MPs and senators seem to be very quiet. What could account for their sudden silence?
What could account for their sudden silence is very simple. They have theirs, and they have the money to get it in case it doesn't.
Yeah, those are people we voted for them, and today we're facing, Cameroonians are facing difficulties. I mean, getting an ID card is really
in this current system. Like we said before, that if you have people who represent you, if elections are done in real conditions, those people who are there, we call them opportunists. They happen to pick out or pick up the opportunity. When have you ever seen an SDO, a Geo being asked an ID card? They pass in a convoy, whether they have it or not. They pass. It is the local person that suffers. Their children don't suffer. But you know, talking about this ID card saga in Cameroon, I want to clap for the social media. In fact, Cameroon is being governed on social media because it takes social media pressure for the government to speak. It is funny that we have to agitate, to talk, to criticize, to sing on social media every day before the government comes out to tell us that we are trying on the productions. And the people you are talking about in parliament, if these people were to talk, ID cards would be the least of their problems to talk about, because ID cards is not taking as many lives as the bullets have taken. The Anglophone crisis took forever till now to be discussed. So I don't think an ID card issue will be pressing to them, because they don't get disturbed. And when they are hooked up, they easily know who to call to let them pass through. It is the common man that is suffering. But for the few individuals who are still very much credible in the parliament, normally a parliament is a place where the problems of a country is discussed. But the Cameroon parliament is a place where the budget is discussed. If there is any topical issue in the Cameroon parliament, in the Cameroon representative segment, it is about budget. That is when we hear people talking. But happenings, issues that are affecting the common man, for whom they are there to represent, those people cannot talk. Like seriously, I am afraid and to tell you that if it comes to those people in quote we call a representative, they are all, in fact, they are all representing their belly, and I don't see anything. I don't even know why they cannot talk, because they have never spoken. But for selected few, like Honorable Weber, who spoke the truth and was pursued. So these people are politicians, and they don't have anything to say. I don't know why they are not talking, simply because they don't have something to say.
Now, Fabrice Lena, how do you explain the fact that the same people who voted for their representatives are unable to get national identification cards?
When you say people who voted, did you vote for them?
Fabrice Lena.
No, I want to ask if you voted.
At least I have an ID card, so I'm talking about the
yes,
few
because if you voted for them, then you should let our people know that you are accomplice to the complicity and complacent nature of who we call representatives in Cameroon. You know, the last time that I traveled to Ghana, I saw what they call local government chair, mayors of districts. And what I find out is that when a citizen within a municipality or a jurisdiction is disturbed about an issue, it is the preoccupation of the elected official. If that person's problem is not solved, the man in his office have no tranquility. If someone who is vocal, who is outspoken, who is just, who is incorruptible gets into the Cameroon parliament, you will not stay there. Because the parliament is not for just people, the parliament is not for incorruptible people, and the parliament of Cameroon is not for people who are outspoken. The parliament is for people who have decided to go and then share
The national cake.
the taxpayers' income with impunity, not discussing preoccupying issues which they are there to solve and provide solutions. Since I grew up and I started partaking political actions in Cameroon, I've never known anything that our parliament had ever discussed to the benefit of Cameroonians. If you know, perhaps you people are going to tell me or cite them to me, or Cameroonians will correct me if I'm wrong. I've never known. So when we talk of representatives, I would say Cameroon don't actually have separation of power. You know, those principles are in theory in Cameroon. They are not actually practical. The executive arm controls both the judiciary and the legislative. And we are in high instruction system, firm instruction system, where the instruction must be as it is from the first citizen, and he or she who doesn't comply with that will have to toe the line. So when you observe all these, you discover that there is no way these people are preoccupied with the ID card issue. And the ID card issue is something that I remember very well. It was in July 2020. I started a campaign on this until I had a discussion on this in panel with Kum Leonard in Prime R, where I made mention of the fact that people around me had been having this issue of producing ID cards. It's not coming out for years. If a simplest document like an ID card is more than a government to produce, then the country is more than them to govern. We are just approximately above 25 million. So as the number is increasing by geometric rate every day, the country becomes more and more difficult for them to manage. Yet they are talking about emergency. It's a paradox. So I would say that the government has completely failed, because if an ID card in the international scene is laughable, it's shameful. You know, it's shameful when you travel out, you know, and people is all over the news that in your own country they are unable to produce ID cards. And the funny thing about this ID card is that the company that is producing it is a foreign company, which means you from Quinta, it is a foreign company that have your identity, you know. And it's laughable. There are these things that when we see, we say the economic, political, social policies of the CPDM party is a complete failure. It's a sham to Cameroon. ID cards And you go to the routes during transport and transit, you see how the police harass citizens for not possessing ID card, or the slips that they are signing and giving that has expired, or it is weary out because it has been overused or over prolonged. And
at
least
you go with those documents that they've given you. Some checkpoints tell you, no, this document is fake. And people are like, how is the document even fake? Because
that's the point where they contradict themselves, because it's showing that they are the very persons producing fake documents. They are aware of their own corruption. They are aware that they are corrupt. Because at the roadside, when you're traveling, you know, somebody who travels a lot like me, sometimes you see situations where it becomes a bargain between the person whose document is expired or is having one problem with the other and the policeman to give either 2,000, 1,000 or 5,000 depending on your bargaining power. So they are in the market. So it is a situation that I always tell the youth, we only need to put pressure. Mobilize yourselves and put pressure. That's the only means. Because if not of the campaign on the social media that I started, I greet the lady Anne Fekonde who came with the hashtag. Because I started this thing long ago. I've received a lot of calls and tried to help some few people, but I'm happy it has gone viral today. And the director of national security in Yaoundé came now to give a speech. And the funny thing about these people is that they will not even come and apologize. We are sorry for messing up. They will come and still be defensive and putting the blame and indexing Cameroonians. It's because you people have double identity, and this. That double identity problem is for the poor man. Because the rich guys and the directors in Yaoundé and Douala, they don't have any problem. Their children are the ones that are actually cutting edges to write concours because they want to put them in. But now when the poor man child comes, it becomes a problem because they don't have the 300,000, the 400,000 to go and pay the huge amount of bribe. And I don't see the relationship between sanctioning somebody for double identity for 300,000 francs. I don't know when it is in our constitution. Or when
for this, we'll come back to. Let me get now to Brice Jokolo. The people's representatives are very quiet despite the calls by Cameroonians and the difficulties they face in getting an identification paper. What accounts for such behavior?
D'abord, il faut savoir, avant de répondre à votre question, tout à l'heure nous avions parlé de la crise anglophone. Ce que les gens oublient, ou alors ce que les gens ne savent pas, c'est que le problème de la carte nationale d'identité et le problème anglophone, c'est deux sujets bien liés. Le problème du passeport et le problème de la crise anglophone, c'est deux sujets bien liés. Pourquoi ces gens-là, puisque nous avions parlé des parlementaires tout à l'heure, pourquoi est-ce que les parlementaires n'interviennent pas dans ça? C'est parce qu'ils savent effectivement que les cartes des doubles identités leur sont favorables. C'est pour aller voter au moment des élections. Vous allez vous rendre compte qu'une seule personne vote 4 fois sur une liste. Posez-vous la question, comment cela est-il possible? C'est à cause des doubles, triples, quadruples identités. Ça voudrait dire quoi? Que ces députés-là, ils sont élus à base des fausses manœuvres. Parmi ces fausses manœuvres, on compte encore les problèmes d'identité. Ça leur est favorable. Maintenant, en ce qui concerne les problèmes de passeport, pour établir une relation avec ce problème de la crise anglophone, ils ont juste peur que les populations de la zone anglophone partent. Vous savez que sans passeport, on ne peut pas vous donner le visa. Ils bloquent donc l'établissement des passeports pour que les gens n'arrivent pas ailleurs et disent exactement ce qui se passe au Cameroun. C'est ça le réel problème. Parce qu'en vous donnant le passeport, vous allez partir au Canada et bien d'autres. Le massacre qui se fait à huis clos là, vous allez dire qu'en réalité, voilà ce qui se passe au Cameroun. Maintenant, pour bloquer ça, qu'est-ce qu'ils font? Ils refusent de vous donner les passeports. Ils refusent d'établir les cartes nationales d'identité. Voilà donc la relation qui existe entre les deux. Lorsque vous parlez par exemple des parlementaires, regardez un peu à un moment donné, lorsque ce problème de carte d'identité a commencé, les députés ont fait semblant de ne pas comprendre. Il a fallu effectivement que sur la toile, sur Internet, c'est-à-dire Facebook, réseaux sociaux et bien d'autres, que les gens commencent effectivement à s'insurger sur cette affaire. Que finalement, nous sommes des sans-papiers dans notre pays. Nous n'avons pas de papier. Nous ne pouvons plus voyager. Ça bloque nos affaires parce que nos passeports sont périmés. Les visas ont déjà occupé toutes les pages. On ne peut plus voyager. Et directement, le DSN, le délégué général de la Sécurité nationale, sort et dit que les problèmes de double identité, les problèmes de triple identité. Moi, je lui fais grâce de ses propos. Mais en réalité, dans cette affaire, la crise anglophone et la carte d'identité, plus le passeport, ces trois affaires sont liées.
Si on décide maintenant d'établir les cartes, ça va vous permettre à faire le passeport. Par conséquent, vous allez partir. Posez-vous la question, avant que cette affaire ne soit bloquée, combien de citoyens camerounais dans la zone anglophone étaient déjà partis? Ils étaient nombreux. Puisqu'ils ont donc constaté qu'en leur donnant la carte d'identité, en leur donnant le passeport, les pays étrangers vont se remplir et la réalité de ce qui se passe au pays sera sûre. Par conséquent, il faut faire quoi? Bloquer l'établissement de ces deux pièces d'identité. Donc c'est une relation, c'est une corrélation, c'est bien lié. Maintenant les députés, quant à leur tour, ils sont silencieux parce qu'ils ont profité de ces doubles, triples identités. Parmi ces causes, on peut encore citer les affaires des concours. Vous voyez quelqu'un qui a déjà 40 ans, il est barbu, mais il s'en va faire le concours des inspecteurs de police où l'âge limite est à 24 ans. Vous vous posez la question, quelqu'un qui est physiquement, il a presque 40 ans. Il a presque 42 ans. Mais il est inspecteur de police. Les inspecteurs de police qui sont jeunes, qui ont encore de la niaque, mais vous voyez quelqu'un qui a 42 ans qui est inspecteur de police. Vous vous posez la question, comment ce monsieur a fait pour arriver ici? Il s'agit d'un problème de double identité. Et parmi ce problème, dans ce problème de double identité, il y a même des personnes très haut placées qui sont dans cette affaire. Leurs enfants ont passé tout le temps à échouer, à faire la classe de 3e 6 fois, la classe de première 10 fois, la classe de terminale 15 fois. Ils se retrouvent à l'université étant encore jeunes, 17 ans. 17 ans sur leur papier. Ces enfants n'apprennent pas, ce sont des enfants qui n'apprennent pas. Quand ils s'en vont à l'école, ils s'en vont en classe, ils ne partent pas à l'école. Par conséquent, à un certain âge, pour éviter qu'à un certain âge, qu'ils ne soient plus capables de faire les concours, il faut faire quoi? Tailler leur âge au fur et à mesure qu'ils échouent. On taille au fur et à mesure qu'ils échouent. Et finalement, ils se retrouvent quelqu'un avec 37 ans qui prend le baccalauréat. Mais vous voyez sur le papier, il a 17 ans. C'est comme ça, comme il dira fait pour les concours du monde. Vous qui avez passé le temps à fréquenter normalement, l'âge ne fait que dépasser. Vous faites les concours, vous ne réussissez parce que ces gens-là prennent vos places. L'âge s'augmente. À un moment donné, vous n'êtes même plus habilité à faire un concours. L'âge limite de 32 ans. Or, eux qui ont déjà presque 45 ans sont en train de concourir dans votre intervalle d'âge.
Well, thank you very much, Bruce Jokolo. Let me quickly ask this question to Song Derek. Song Derek, what do you think could be the reason for the delay of getting these ID cards? Because people go to the offices, you start the process and they give you the small document that you have to use, like laissez-passer, and before getting the real, that's the original ID card, it's thick and thin.
I think the right person where you should be asking what the problem is should be to the government bench and those who are involved in the production. But in my own point of view as a civil society activist, it is pure laziness and incompetence of the system in place. Because if we cannot have the basics of documents like an identity card, you know, identity cards are primordial to all the transactions we do in this present time. Your bank transaction, traveling, registrations of whatever thing you want to do, it takes the identification card. But my problem with the identification card issue is that at one point in time, the government complains to you that there is shortage of papers. I've heard that. Even with passport, they tell you that there is a shortage of papers, whereas the whole of Cameroon is made up of forest. A country that exports timber and import toothpick. That's the fun of the system. You know, we are talking about this thing, one is a victim. What is the time frame that the government gives us to get an ID card produced? It's 3 months. You get your ID after they give you the receipt. It shows that the receipt expires in 3 months' time, meaning that after 3 months, your ID card should be available. Then after 3 months, you go, it is stamped. The next 3 months, it is stamped until there comes a time wherein there is no space again for a stamp to be put in your receipt. And then you are asking, when you ask me, what do you want me to say? When the system cannot come out and explain, what the system tells us is they are being defensive. They come and complain that there are 245,000 ID cards that have not been collected. Are you sure only 245,000 Cameroonians are complaining of this ID card? There are more than millions of people complaining. But he comes to defense. When you are too defensive about a problem, you create more. And then, Queen, sometimes it's funny because I ask myself, what is an identification card? An identification card is something that if I travel from here to the north, I should be able to get it even in the system. Is Cameroon that poor to regionalize the production of ID card that everything will be forced down our throat from Yaoundé? That ID cards are made in Bamenda and printed in Yaoundé. ID cards are produced in Boya and printed. All this delay is another reason that we can ascertain for this delay is because it has been centralized. We talk about delayance of ID card where somebody produces have an ID card. It takes more than 3 months. But I want to assure you, it happened to a brother of mine that if you pay him 50,000 somewhere, that ID card will come out in 2 days. How is that possible? It is because these people create bottlenecks in places where they eat fat. When you even misplace your ID, the minister talks about duplication of ID cards. What about those who produce? Your ID card expire, you go back with the expired ID to produce the other one. And in 2 years, you don't have an ID card. What I know about ID card production is, in Cameroon, first of all, the system is a scam. It's a sham. Why would I say it's a scam? You produce 2 ID cards and you have 2 ID card numbers. 3 ID cards, you have 3 ID card numbers. If Cameroon had a database that could take the information of everybody, Song Derek, your ID card number is 10500. It means that if even my ID card is missing, I go back to the system with my ID card number, that system should be able to print that ID card. And if my ID card has to expire, it is produced in 2010 and it has to expire in 10 years, 2020. What I think is that after 2020, the system should just extend and print a new ID card. It should be something that is a database collection. But Cameroon, that plans to emerge in 2035, but every other day they take 600 steps behind. I doubt if in 2035 we are going to get up and be worse off, because we look at what is happening and we think that the people who are moving this country are so stagnant, they are so saturated that they can no longer think of any positive thing, any positive way. When I go when you go to a police point and you don't have an ID,
can you please conclude? I need to get this reaction.
It's as if you are doing buying and selling. How much do you have? How much do you have? It's legal. So these people create these bottlenecks because it fits the same people who work for the system.
All right, thank you very much, Songo. Let me get this reaction. This person says, "Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Yashua Mo writing from Yaoundé. You know, political parties, first of all, have lost their credibility in these 2 regions. When the crisis started in 2016, the Social Democratic Front managed to travel to Boya to at least appease the wounded population, especially students of the University of Boya. And in 2017, that credibility finally died down when the deputies from these regions continued going into the assembly without any result. He says genuine dialogue is the only way and nothing else." Now, Fabrice Lena, are representatives failing the people?
Yeah, actually, I think so. They are failing the people. They have been failing the people, and they are still failing the people. And until we have a complete political transition in Cameroon, we will not have true representatives of the people. Because what the representatives of the people, the government, and those managing state affairs in Cameroon now are doing is like they're winding time to see that they get to the end of the term and see what happens next. I'm saying this because in every social action, economic action, and political action in Cameroon, they are just reactive to the demands of the people. They are not proactive in anything. Because I believe that a system in place is supposed to have a database a system in place is supposed to be having a synchronized economic plan, a synchronized political plan, a synchronized social plan, in such a way that you envisage problems, you have attempted solutions to those problems. Then by the time the problem is coming, you already having proposed solutions, and then based on the reality and the peculiarity of the problem, you get to solve it before it gets out. But we discovered that in our country, the reality is that problems get to the complicated stage before solutions are attempted to it. Problem gets to irreversible stage before solutions are being, before people sit to discuss about it. And it's making life hell in Cameroon for the common man. It's making life difficult for the poor. It's making life very, very complicated for citizens. You know, you see, many people feel more comfortable out of the country or in different places more than their own home country or Cameroon for this simple facts of frustration, having ID cards, for this simple facts of frustration, being an Anglophone, for this simple fact of frustration, being indexed as someone who is anti-patriotic simply because you don't share the view of the government, for this simple fact of criticizing representatives as not representing the people. You see, the guys are forcing everyone to be corrupt, forcing everyone not to think straight, forcing everyone to be in a mindset of looking to survive. It's like for you to be economically strong in Cameroon, politically strong in Cameroon, you have to join the team of those who must not speak against injustice, which is not right. So representatives, as you said, are failing the people big time. They need to adjust. I don't know where the consciences of these people are, or they really are representing these people. You cannot tell me you're representing somebody and in Santa subdivision, you know very well killings are taking place in Matazum, in places, and you're not talking. I've never heard the parliamentarian of Santa subdivision going to submit anything to say when the Pinyin killing took place, when the Matazum killing massacre in Santa took place. So who are you representing actually? Do the lives of these people matter to you, or are you just there to get the money that comes and go to swingle it to your personal accounts and you say you're representing people? That's no representation. Or the senators from these zones. I've never heard any communique from these people or even on the social media about the things that are happening there. So they are not representing the people. And this is not right at all. What are they thinking about their own children they are sending abroad to go and study? Where are they going to govern? In this very Cameroon, we are watching, we are noting, we are counting, and we are on the field. And we pray that let this fruit that they are planting be the fruit that they eat. Because, you know, as time unfolds, history will hold people accountable for their actions.
All right, thank you very much, Fabrice Lena. This person says, good afternoon and Happy New Year to you all in the studio. I have done my ID card 2 times and none came out. I did another one and I was given 3 months, which finally came to an end. Right now, my ID card has been expanded to June. 6 months, we are not moving forward in this country. I'm a Nanga from Yaoundé. Now, gentlemen, we are getting to the end of the program and I cannot take leave of you without getting your last words. So I'll begin with you, those here in Plicapati.
Puisque nous tirons déjà vers la fin de cette émission, la seule chose qu'on peut juste dire, c'est que le régime de Yaoundé, c'est que celui que vous appelez le président de la République, puisque c'est un président de fait, c'est qu'il prend un sac, il met ses anciens camarades du lycée général Leclerc, ses anciens camarades du séminaire d'Akono, il met également les autres avec qui il a pris le pouvoir dans le même sac et il descend dans son village prendre la retraite où ils vont jouer facilement le songo là-bas parce que leur rôle n'est plus de diriger le Cameroun. Ils ont pratiquement enterré ce Cameroun. Ils ont pris un Cameroun prospère et l'ont remplacé par un Cameroun de misère. Aujourd'hui, on peut dire sans risque de se tromper que le Cameroun est devenu l'univers par excellence de la souffrance. Les gens souffrent. Vous voyez un jeune à 32 ans qui a un master professionnel, qui n'a pas d'emploi, qui vit encore chez eux. Les parents lui donnent encore 1 000 francs pour aller faire des photocopies et trouver de l'emploi. Vous voyez un jeune de 42 ans qui a en thèse de doctorat, qui vit chez eux, qui n'a pas de prime de recherche. Moi, je me pose la question, est-ce que ces gens-là ont un cœur? Est-ce qu'ils ont un cœur? Qu'à 30 ans, vous voyez un jeune de chez vous qui a une licence professionnelle, à qui chaque matin vous devez donner de l'argent des beignets.
Vous devez rationner celui-là comme votre propre femme à la maison. Mais ces gens-là, ils savent exactement ce qui se passe. Mais ils ne font absolument rien pour que cette situation s'améliore. Donc la seule solution qu'il y a, c'est que M. Biaké a volé les élections. Qui prend ceux avec qui il a volé les élections et prend rapidement sa retraite. Qu'il prenne sa retraite. Qu'il laisse le professeur Maurice Kamto exercer le mandat que le peuple lui a donné. Et le tout sera réglé. Le tout sera réglé. C'est une réalité. C'est une réalité. Le peuple ne lui a pas confié le mandat. Qu'il laisse au professeur Maurice Kamto qui gère le Cameroun comme le peuple lui a demandé de le faire.
Thank you very much.
Nous allons l'accompagner tranquillement dans sa retraite. Sa sécurité sera assurée. Même pour sa propre famille et ses enfants. Et rien ne doit lui arriver. Mais qu'il laisse la volonté du peuple s'accomplir. C'est ce que je voudrais dire.
Right, over to you, Song Derulia, your last words. No, just right on your last words, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Queen, for this opportunity. We want to thank the million Cameroonians and people worldwide for sitting fixed on their TV set. It is no news that we are living in a country with an outdated system, a system that is dilapidated and needs complete formatting and restructuring. And I want to ask the Yaoundé regime if it has become a law in this country that people must protest before anything is done. Sometimes when I call this country a comedy republic governed by comedian, some people think it's a joke. But to be sincere, you are not more patriotic than I am. For some of us who sit here to criticize constructively, it is not because we hate the country. It's because we all want that this country should be for our good. And those old age sit-tight squirrels should try to give space and change the system completely, because we cannot be in our own home and be homeless. It's quite saddening, and then we do not want a situation where the country will lead to another uprising in uprisings. So please, the Yaoundé system must understand that democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And so listen to the people's voice, because we have a choice in the country to say what we think.
Thank you, Song Derry. Fabrice Lena, you have 50 seconds.
All right, thank you very much for giving me the chance of speaking for 50 seconds. I would just tell the young Cameroonians that there's a great discrepancy between our age, the youth, and the old, and there's clash of generation in Cameroon. If the youth want to take the responsibility of restoring this country, it's going to be so swift. So you are going to leave your comfort zone, the complacent zone, and stop saying you're not going to participate in politics or listening to these old people who dissuade us from politics. It is a wrong doctrine. Please rise up, be on your feet. It is us who can take back our country from these people, and together we can do that. And join us in our political actions, because politics define every sector of the economy, and it's because of bad political system that all of the numerous problems of Cameroon is. And the message to the government of Yaoundé is that, please, 40 years is enough. God did not give monopoly of knowledge for you. You're 87 years old now. You should be on retirement. I'm talking to the President of the Republic. So please, sir, we are begging you as Cameroonians to resign. Let's do a complete political transition for us to restructure our country and have the ability to enjoy the 21st century goodies of a modern world. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me for your program. It was wonderful sharing this noble platform with noble men and a beautiful lady like you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for accepting our invitation. And it was nice right with you people on today's edition of House of Commons on My Media Prime. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of today's edition of House of Commons on My Media Prime Television. My name is Fon Quinta. I will meet again next on the same station, same time, God willing. Goodbye.